That night unfolded in a way I could never have foreseen forever, shifting my view of the world, my career, the choices I've made, and especially the companion I've worked alongside for over a decade. Yet there are moments that catch you by surprise, revealing themselves like a beautifully crafted symphony, each note resonating deeply within your soul. The evening began unremarkably, much like any other. The company's annual gala had just wrapped up and the city lights glimmered through the vast glass windows of the rooftop venue. The laughter of my colleagues echoed in my ears as I stepped outside, breathing in the cool night air, grateful for a moment of quiet. The slight pinch of my heels reminded me of the long hours spent standing, wearing a smile that hid the exhaustion beneath. As I prepared to leave, I glanced back at him, James Carter, my boss for the past 12 years. With silver touching his temples and a wardrobe that exuded refined elegance, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who had carved his own path from humble beginnings. At 61, he radiated the same calm authority as always, but that evening there was a subtle change in his expression. "Just getting some air?" he asked. I nodded, a faint smile on my lips. The festivities were wonderful. He stepped closer, hands in his pockets, his usual commanding presence softened by the warm glow of the streetlights. It was indeed. Though I confess these events don't quite resonate with me. A soft laugh escaped me. "Funny you host them every year." "It's just business," he said, tilting his head toward me. "You, on the other hand, seem to genuinely enjoy it." I shrugged. "I suppose I've mastered the art of performance." He chuckled softly, and for a brief moment, we stood in comfortable silence. The city hummed around us, but in that instant, it was just the two of us, free from the formalities of the workplace. Then came the words I hadn't expected. "I'm not ready to head home yet," he said. "Would you care to join me for a drink?" There was a pause, a flicker of uncertainty. We often spoke outside work, late-night calls, strategy sessions that stretched into the evening, but this felt different. His tone carried a quiet weight, a subtle spark that sent a thrill through me. "I'd like that," I said at last. "Why not?" We walked down the street, leaving the glittering towers of downtown behind, and entered a quieter part of the city. He led me to a cozy lounge where dim lighting and soft jazz created an atmosphere untouched by the chaos outside. As we settled into a corner booth, he loosened his tie, a rare sight that caught my eye. He looked at me, truly, looked as if seeing me in a new light. "You've been with the company a long time?" he said, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. 12 years, I replied, nodding. "Have you ever wondered how life might have turned out if you'd taken a different path?" His question caught me off guard. "Are you asking if I have regrets?" He shook his head gently. "Not regrets, just curiosity." "Do you ever think about the roads not taken?" I exhaled slowly. "At some point, we all do. But I've always believed every choice, every path leads us exactly where we're meant to be." He smiled. "That's a wise perspective." Our conversation deepened, moving beyond work deadlines and reports into the heart of life itself. He shared stories of his early years, the struggles of building the company, the sacrifices along the way. I opened up about my own dreams, the moments that shaped me. Time blurred, one drink became 2, then 3. In that space between nostalgia and warmth, the air around us shifted. He reached across the table, his fingers lightly brushing mine, tentative yet deliberate. I didn't pull away. For a fleeting moment, everything hung in balance. Then in a low voice he said, "I've never said this before, but my admiration for you goes far beyond your work. Your presence steadies the world, brings calm to the chaos." My heart quickened. I'd received compliments before, but this was different, raw, genuine, profound. "You've always been my anchor," he continued, "and maybe it took me too long to realize how much that means." I swallowed, unsure how to respond. He was more than my boss. He was someone I'd respected, admired perhaps more than I'd admitted to myself. In that softly lit lounge, my thoughts drifted far from work and professionalism. His gaze lingered, as if seeing me for the first time. "I should probably head home," I said, my voice wavering. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "Let me walk you." The streets were quieter now, the city settling into its late-night rhythm. At my building, we paused at the entrance. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "For listening." I smiled. "I could say the same to you." A moment of stillness, a flicker of possibility. I leaned in just enough, and for an instant, the world narrowed to just us. But I pulled back my breath, unsteady. "Good night, James," I whispered, stepping inside before I could give in to the pull of my emotions. As the door closed, I leaned against it, heart racing. Something had shifted, and deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. At dawn, I woke early, my mind tangled in the previous night. James's gaze, the warmth of his touch, the unspoken words hanging between us. For years, I'd seen him only as my boss, a figure of authority and respect. Now, he was James, the man who'd let down his guard, who'd spoken with quiet honesty, who'd looked at me in a way that set my heart racing. I shook my head, pouring my coffee, trying to dismiss the thoughts. This was absurd. Nothing had happened, and nothing would. But as I entered the office, a strange tension lingered, as if the air itself had changed. Through the glass of his office, I caught his eye. He was on a call, but for a brief moment his gaze met mine, and he offered a faint private smile. A quiet storm stirred within me. The day passed in a blur of meetings and emails, but my thoughts kept drifting to James. His presence felt heavier. He lingered by my desk, his eyes holding mine a moment too long. By afternoon, I needed air a moment to clear my head. On the office terrace, I breathed in the crisp autumn air, the city humming below. I didn't hear the door open. Avoiding me, James's voice was calm, but there was an undercurrent of tension. I turned, managing a laugh. "Avoiding you? That's a bit dramatic." He stepped closer, hands in his pockets, that same enigmatic look in his eyes. "Is it?" I sighed, pressing my fingers to my temples. James last night, it was different. "I know," he said, finishing my thought. I felt it too. I looked at him, the man I'd worked with for years, yet now he seemed almost a stranger. "We can't do this." I said the words hollow, even to my own ears. He studied me, then exhaled. "I know you see the risk, how it changes things." "It changes everything," I said firmly. "James, you're my boss. There are rules, expectations." "I don't care about rules," he said, his voice low but steady. "Last night we weren't boss and employee. We were just two people, and I know we both felt something real." I took a deep breath. "That doesn't make it right." He tilted his head, his eyes searching mine. "And yet you haven't said you don't feel it too." I opened my mouth, but no words came. The truth hung between us, undeniable. He stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "If I'm wrong, I'll let it go. Last night will be as if it never happened." I wanted to push back to say it was a mistake, but I couldn't. The air crackled with tension, pulling us closer. His fingertips grazed my wrist, a question, not a demand. My heart raced his touch, sending a tremor through me. For years, I'd lived within the bounds of expectation, my career, my age, my carefully ordered life. But standing there with James looking at me with quiet intensity, those walls began to shift. He waited, searching for a sign that I felt the same. I exhaled, letting go of the tension. "James, I don't know what comes next." He smiled faintly. "Neither do I. But that doesn't mean we should run from it." A breeze swept across the terrace, chilling me. He noticed slipping off his suit jacket and draping it over my shoulders. His scent, subtle, spiced cologne, wrapped around me warm and familiar. "Come on," he said, nodding toward the office door. "Let's get out of here." I hesitated, glancing back at the office where the familiar rhythm of work continued. I could return, gather my things, go home, and pretend nothing had changed. But something had a spark, a chance I didn't want to let slip away. "Okay," I said, my voice steady. "Let's go." We ended up at a quiet, softly lit restaurant nearby, where the music was gentle and the staff moved in whispers. As James poured wine, the first sip warmed me, easing the tension within. I set my glass down and asked, "What are we doing here, James?" He leaned back, studying me with that familiar, inscrutable gaze. But tonight, something new lingered in it. "Honestly," he said, swirling his wine, "I wanted a space with you where we could drop the pretense." I swallowed hard. Last night meant something. His eyes met mine, unflinching. It did. The words settled between us, heavy and true. I let go of caution, speaking truths I'd held back for years. How I'd prioritized my career, convinced myself love and connection were for others, for the young with time to spare. James listened, truly listened. As silence fell, he reached across the table, his fingers grazing mine deliberately. My breath hitched. "You're not alone in that," he said. We left the restaurant, the city quiet under the amber glow of streetlights. We walked reluctant to say goodbye. At a crosswalk, he paused and looked at me. "I don't want to rush this," he said softly. "But I also don't want to pretend it doesn't matter." My heart raced. "James," he chuckled, shaking his head. "It's complicated, isn't it?" A breathy laugh escaped me. "That's an understatement." We stood there, the city alive around us, yet it felt like we were the only two in the world. Instinct took over. I stepped closer. No hesitation, no overthinking. His breath caught as I leaned in. The kiss was slow, tentative, like the first notes of an unfamiliar melody. His hand cupped my face, gentle and reverent. When we parted, his forehead rested against mine. "This changes everything, doesn't it?" I whispered. "It does," he murmured, "but maybe that's not such a bad thing." I closed my eyes, letting the warmth of the moment sink in. Maybe he was right. The next morning, I woke to a storm of emotions, excitement, fear, uncertainty. The memory of the night lingered, James's touch, his gaze, the way he'd looked at me like something worth waiting for. But as sunlight streamed through my window, reality crept in. I was still his employee. He was still my boss. We'd crossed a line that couldn't be undone. My phone buzzed. A message from James. "Good morning. No regrets, I hope." A smile tugged at my lips as I typed back, "None." "You?" Not a single one," he replied. "Can I see you later?" I hesitated, not out of doubt, but because I didn't know what lay ahead. Could we exist beyond the office, beyond the boundaries we'd followed for so long? I took a deep breath and replied, "Yes, but we need to talk first." That evening, we met at a quiet park on the city's edge, far from the noise and scrutiny of work. James leaned against a bench, hands in his pockets, his expression softer than I'd ever seen. "Hey," I said, sitting beside him. "Hey," he replied. We sat in silence, watching the sunset weave golden light through the trees. I found my voice. "James, what happens now?" He exhaled, as if the question had been waiting. "I don't have all the answers, but I know I don't want last night to be something we pretend didn't happen." I nodded slowly. "I feel the same." He turned to me. "Let's not make this about rules or expectations. Let's focus on what this is, whatever shape it takes." I swallowed. "And work." He laughed softly. "Your career is safe. Your work deserves better than to be overshadowed by this. We'll figure out boundaries if we need to, but I don't want to let this go just because of logistics." His words stirred something deep within me. For years, I'd let fear of the unknown hold me back, convinced passion was for others. But here was James, willing to navigate the uncertainty with me. I reached for his hand. "Okay," I said, my voice steady. let's see where this goes." His smile was one of relief as he pulled me into a slow, lingering kiss under the fading light. In that moment, I knew this was a night that had become something unforgettable, the start of a new chapter.